Well, this Saturday will mark 20 years since the 9/11 terror attacks and the loss of nearly 3,000 American lives. Among the victims, several firefighters and police officers who answered the call despite the risk.
WGN's Patrick Elwood talked with some of our local first responders who rushed to Ground Zero after the attacks to help their fellow brothers and sisters in uniform. And he joins us now live from New York City with their story. Hi, Patrick.
Micah and Ray, good evening to you. Here in the heart of Manhattan, this is the intersection of Greenwich and Liberty. Over my shoulder is Engine Company 10, Ladder Company 10. This house dates back to 1865. On that fateful day, it lost 5 members. 50 feet that way once stood the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center. So essentially, we are here at Ground Zero. In a couple of days, people from all over the country will gather in remembrance of what happened at that time. Among them, a contingent of firefighters from Chicago and suburbs making true on their promise once again to never forget. 20 years later, and the images of the September 11th attacks are still as every bit haunting and surreal to most Americans. But to those who survived, who lost a loved one or friend, or to those who answered the call for help, 9/11 lives within them and will forever to never forget.
I hope I live. It's coming down on me.
A beautiful New York City morning was shattered, and whose aftermath is being felt today with the country's longest war only now officially over. It began with American Airlines Flight 11 slamming into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. 17 minutes later at 9:03, United Airlines Flight 175 crashing into the South Tower. The nation would soon learn the attacks were orchestrated by the extremist group Al-Qaeda.
And it was complete darkness.
Some people had already died. In time, those numbers would pale in comparison by the time the day was over.
New York's World Trade Center is destroyed. The Pentagon is attacked, and thousands are feared dead.
Others were trapped, and answering the call for help were the firefighters and police officers of New York City. Watching from afar, like many of us, were CFD Chief Bob Hoff, Western Springs firefighter Jimmy Regan,
my wife in tears,
and CFD Captain Pat Maloney.
Seen the second plane, which I think everyone was just devastated. And I was like, oh my God.
Hoff was the director of the department's training academy. His wheels were already spinning. Their counterparts in New York City desperately needed help. But Jimmy had a firefighter friend working at O'Hare Airport, and there was confusion and concern all around as well, that Chicago may be a target too.
Tommy Wagner is a lieutenant at O'Hare, and he says, Jim, we got a plane missing. And I'm like, yow.
That sentiment is easily understood.
Move it! Come on!
When all hell was breaking loose in New York, a nation wondered what could be next. When and where could something happen? Within an hour and 42 minutes, the towers had collapsed. Hijacked American Airlines Flight 77 had flown into the Pentagon, and a fourth plane, United Air 93, believed to be headed to D.C. as well, was retaken by brave passengers aboard. It crashed into the Pennsylvania countryside near Shanksville.
We didn't care about getting hurt. We wanted to go out and help. And it was a matter of making a phone call to the fire commissioner at that time, Jim Joyce, who was one of the best we had.
With Commissioner Joyce's approval, firefighters from the city and surrounding suburbs hit the road for Ground Zero. 75 bottles of compressed air, saws, Halligans, and 15 City of Chicago passenger vans. Along the way, word had gotten out they were coming, and as they would enter one state, police would escort them with lights and sirens to the next. By the morning of the 12th, they had crossed the bridge into Manhattan.
All of a sudden, it's like reality sets in. It's not on TV anymore.
And arrived on the scene. They reported to a command staff FDNY chief.
We walked up, and this chief there says, hey, you want to help? Give me 10 guys, man 2 hose lines, and start putting these fires out. The rest of you could start doing searches. Hey, Chicago, welcome to hell.
Fire engines crushed to 2 feet high, and then as time went on, I found out that all my friends in Rescue 2 were dead. So I had probably at the end of the day 12 people that were close to me, and they were all gone. And I couldn't believe it.
They divided into groups and worked 10 to 12-hour shifts, working the mountains of rubble, always hoping to find somebody alive.
In 47 years in the fire service, I've never smelled anything like it before that and after that. It was a smell of something burning, but we've all smelled plastic. We've all smelled wood. We've all smelled mattresses, you name it. But that smell, it permeated your clothes.
While everyone was hopeful survivors would be found, they weren't. Bodies would be found, of course, including NYFD members.
In their pride, if they found one of their members, they removed them. Nobody else did. And that's an unwritten law in the fire service.
It was dangerous to say the least. Hoff recalls a slab of concrete was about to fall. The all call to clear the site was given, and they scattered in different directions, some of them running blocks away to the Hudson. His son, also a firefighter, was on the scene as well.
But when he came back, I said, "Are you okay?" And I could tell he was upset, and then he just lifted his shirt, and he had a cut across here. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "When we were running, I got run over, and there's a piece of rebar out of the concrete that if it went through him, he would have been hurt bad, but it grazed him."
When they weren't working ground zero, they were helping out at the firehouses, cooking and cleaning and attending funerals. So many funerals.
There were like 7 or 8 funerals a day. You had memorial services, you had funerals. It was heart-wrenching.
They met men like FDNY Captain John Vigiano. He lost 2 sons in the attack on that day, and overall they formed friendships that would last for years.
Uniform members, and salute!
FDNY members paid tribute to CFD Battalion Chief Herbie Johnson, who died in a fire here in Chicago in 2012. Just another example. They donated a piece of steel from the towers in his name to the city. It is part of a memorial in a park at 106th and Western. On his last day on the job, FDNY members surprised Pat Maloney, who retired recently as a battalion chief of special ops.
So what was it, about 8 guys or something like that? Yeah, eight New York firemen for my last day, and that just knocked my socks off.
So as they head back to New York City to mark this 20th anniversary, keeping their promise to never forget, they ask you to do the same. For those who perished that fateful day and for those who lived, it's all about respect. You see, Bob Hoff's father, CFD Chief Thomas Hoff, died in a fire on Valentine's Day, 1962. He and wife Eleanor were high school sweethearts. She would never remarry.
I think one group that's overlooked quite often, because I personally lived through it, was the spouses. My mother, to show those spouses and their families that we support them, because they're the unsung heroes.
So over my shoulder is the 9/11 Memorial Museum and Pool. Every day, thousands of people come out here and just to visit and kind of reflect on what is going on. Today, we met up with one special gentleman. He worked on the 30th floor of the South Tower, one of the lucky ones to escape. He came back here for the first time since that day, and we will share his special story coming up at 10. One last footnote, Bob, Jimmy, and Pat will meet up with their friends, their counterparts here in New York City on Friday night and attend that special memorial Saturday morning together. We're live in Manhattan. Patrick Elwood, WGN News. Back to you in the studio.
Great story, Patrick. I know that firefighters are near and dear to your heart.
All of ours, right?
For sure. Thank you, sir. Stay with WGN as we mark 20 years since the September 11th attacks. Starting tomorrow, we will bring you a series of live reports from New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania throughout our newscasts. This weekend, we invite you to watch our WGN News special Chicago Remembers 9/11 with stories from families of the fallen and how they continue to honor their loved ones today. That special starts at 6:30 on Saturday night.